Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Atlanta Braves avoid 3 straight series losses against the Nats, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Oakland Athletics, winning a series. You saw the bats come to life. Matt Olson definitely seems like, if you even look back at the last 21 games, we mentioned how no one's really else outside of Ozuna gotten hot. I think it's fair to say Matt Olson has officially gotten hot. Marcell Ozuna has stayed hot. Chris Sale, who's been the best pitcher in baseball over the last month, just won the National League Pitcher of the Month award, was really the one wart of the entire series. He goes out there and gives up 6-7 runs over 3-4 innings. So yeah, it was a bad outing, but you kind of knew eventually one of these Max Fried, Ronaldo Lopez, they can't go out and give you 7 shutout innings every time. So it happened to be really bad against a bad offense, but overall it's nice to just see them win a series, even if it's against the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, kind of getting that monkey off your back, see one go through the hoop type stuff. And naturally, Chris Sale gets beat up by the mighty Oakland Athletics. But the Braves bats, on the bright side, do wake up during that game. They stay a little bit woken up in the next game, the series finale. Yeah, it's safe to say Matt Olson is officially hot. Now the next guy that everybody's really looking for in terms of the entire lineup, it really does hinge on only a couple of players before everybody starts hitting. It's Austin Riley and Matt Olson. When those guys start hitting bombs and start pushing guys over the plate, then it's just going to be a snowball effect. And I don't remember which game it was before or after, but Ozuna said something along the lines of we're some bad mofos. Eventually it's going to happen. It's all going to click. We just have to stay the course. And I thought that should resonate throughout the clubhouse, because there is one guy, despite how bad he is or how bad the team is, Ozuna seems to be the most positive voice in that locker room. You know, you can go back to last season when Mike Harris was struggling after the injury, I think. And he was like, dude, you are that guy. And then Mike Harris proceeds to hit 300 for the rest of the season. I think, just having a guy in your corner be like, hey, man, we still are great. It's just a matter of time before things start falling our way. And that's another thing. The Braves have been terribly unlucky this season. They're hitting the piss out of the ball. I don't know the exact stat, but they've got some amount of barrels that's just exponentially higher than the next closest club who have the least amount of in terms of batting average. I don't remember the exact stat, but they're hitting the piss out of the ball. We're just finding gloves. Eventually it'll turn around. It looks like we're knocking on the door.
Yeah, speaking of, you mentioned Michael Harris. I didn't want to touch on him because it looks like he's also beginning. We're seeing the beginnings of him potentially turning the corner. He's not chasing as many pitches. And as we said, if you just stop chasing pitches out of the zone, good things are going to happen. We've seen Michael Harris do it. We actually saw this as early as last year. Now, last year we attributed it to injuries, but maybe it's just a case where he's kind of a guy that needs to get his feet under him. We see he's easily potential that he goes on last year, the last 4 months of the season, to almost have a 1,000 OPS. Yep. He's definitely capable of doing that, and maybe we're seeing the early signs of that. I want to talk about Marcell Ozuna too, because you just mentioned him. Alex Anthopoulos came out and said over the weekend to Chris Domino and Nick Cellini of 680 The Fan that the Braves never once considered, and this has kind of been leaked. I think it was David O'Brien last year or maybe sometime before this season, that the Braves weren't really heavily considering releasing him despite everything that transpired. But now Alex Anthopoulos has come out, I think for the first time, and really came out and said it on that thing, that it was never once considered despite all the noise. And that's just a testament to what you're talking about, because the only reason that was the case outside of money is that clubhouse presence. And thank God, 55 homers now since the beginning of May, the most in baseball. He now leads baseball in OPS plus slugging. Go find a stat. Marcell Ozuna is at or near the top of it. Unbelievable from him. I know a DH has never won the MVP. I would be absolutely shocked whether it's Ohtani or Marcell Ozuna, both guys having great seasons, if it happened. But if there's anyone that's deserving of at least being in the conversation through 2 months, it's Ozuna, because without this team, we've said it a million, or without Marcell Ozuna, this team is probably not even a 500 baseball. I don't care what WAR says, because no one would replace Marcell Ozuna. What he's done, the timely hitting and stuff like that, it just seems like, and beyond that, just the clubhouse, the vibes, keeping everyone kind of up while everyone is down. I just think it's so important to the Braves just being at where they're at, even if we're not where we want to be.
It's hard to tell in baseball compared to football stat padding, where you could look at a quarterback in the fourth quarter, and if his team's always down, he's got all these pass yards, they're empty stats. It's really hard to do that in baseball, to kind of tell without really digging into the numbers. It feels the exact opposite with Marcell Ozuna. It feels like every single RBI was important. whether it's a 2-0 win or just pushes the Braves across the finish line in the 8th or 9th inning to kind of give them a little bit of cushion. Whatever it's been, it does feel like Marcell Ozuna's production is beyond important. It's so much necessary. I can't find the words to describe what I'm trying to say of what your point is. If the Braves didn't have Marcell Ozuna, this offense, this team would be around 500, sub 500, and I don't even think it's an argument. I want to say one more thing about Jarred Kelenic. Jarred Kelenic seems to be hitting his stride. The power numbers, everybody's still waiting to, that to kind of come in bunches, the home run specifically. But the kid looks like he's getting comfortable. And obviously the Ronald Acuna Jr. injury is sad, but it is getting him and Duvall everyday starts. And maybe we're seeing that kind of come to fruition where it does benefit both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think every day at bats is beneficial for everyone, knowing that you're going to be in the starting lineup for at least the next 2 months until the trade deadline comes around and we see what the Braves are going to do. But that's something even Adam Duvall touched on. He said, the at-bats weren't necessarily there early in the year. You're just trying to get on base, do the little things to help the team win. Now you're getting 4 at-bats every single day, and you can take some chances. You can swing a little bit more for the fences. It loosens you up. And I think he touched on that. Maybe you're seeing that from Jarred Kelenic. I think he has a 940 OPS over his last 11 games, I believe it is. So yeah, I mean, big stuff, especially maybe we see him change up the lineup. I think this lineup is kind of a fluid one now that we don't have Acuna, but I definitely think Jarred Kelenic's a guy that if he keeps hitting this way, could find his way up further in that lineup. I know the leadoff spot in particular is a place that we don't really know where to go. Like, is it Michael Harris? Can he do that? He's not the best on-base guy. Is it Ozzie Albies? Like, he's good against lefties, but he's not fantastic against righties, at least from an on-base perspective. So I think it's going to be a fluid lineup. Coming up after the break, though, we are going to talk about Hurston Waldrop. He made his debut in Gwinnett, and he shined. He could be in the majors very soon.